And as we turn to the afternoon, residents in Florida now assessing the damage left behind by Hurricane Milton, which made landfall along Florida's Gulf Coast as a Category 3 storm last night, bringing the powerful winds, the storm surge, and all of that flooding to much of the state. Thanks for joining us for 9 News at Noon. I'm Tom Green. Now, the center of Hurricane Milton has crossed through Florida. It has now moved out onto the Atlantic as a Category 1 storm. CNN's Brian Abel now with more on the damage left behind.
Hours after the worst of Hurricane Milton came through Orlando here as a Category 1 hurricane, we are still feeling its effects. Heavy rain as well as wind still causing issues here. A street light down just a quarter mile behind me. We are also learning that there are water rescues underway in Orange County right now. For the second time in as many weeks, a major hurricane slamming into Florida. Hurricane Milton making landfall near Siesta Key Wednesday night as a major Category 3 storm with catastrophic force. A once-in-a-thousand-year rain event transforming streets into rushing rivers. Gusting winds, downing trees, blowing transformers, and leaving millions in the dark.
We have an unprecedented number of our customers who are without power.
The roof of Tropicana Field, home to the Tampa Bay Rays, ripped open. The storm spawning dozens of tornadoes, including several in Port St. Lucie County, which damaged homes and which officials say proved deadly.
It unfortunately struck a retirement community that was mainly modular homes where we did have loss of life.
The National Weather Service also reporting the most tornado warnings ever in a single day in Florida. Search and rescue operations are underway across the impacted areas.
These aren't people who didn't heed the warning. These are individuals in areas where we've never seen flooding. Never seen flooding.
And at least one of those tornadoes did prove deadly. We have learned that there are people that have been pulled out from debris from tornadoes as well. In Orlando, I'm Brian Abel reporting. Back to you.
As it stands this afternoon, there are still more than 3 million Floridians without power. FEMA administrators, though, say the impacts from Milton could have been far worse, saying the state actually dodged the worst-case scenario. This afternoon, members of Colorado's Task Force 1 are now making their way into Tampa. They'd spent the night at Fort Blanding near Jacksonville while Milton roared through. West Metro Fire says the team should reach the Tampa airport shortly, depending on road conditions. Some parts of that city continue to deal with the major flooding left behind by the storm. Keely Chalmers with us now with the 9 News Weather Impact Team to talk about what's left behind in Florida.
Absolutely. First, let's talk about us, because we have high pressure in place. That is going to keep us high and dry. We are not going to see too much weather activity out there, but let's take you down to Florida, where we are tracking what is left now of Milton. Actually was a Category 1 hurricane still about an hour ago. It is now downgraded to a post-tropical storm as it makes its way off to the east, still feeling the damage across portions of southeast Florida and still feeling the effects with strong winds, heavy rainfall, and that storm surge. But again, this storm gradually pushing off to the east. As it does, it will weaken. Back here at home, we're just looking at another very quiet, warm day as temperatures climb into the 80s. Once again, your record high 89 degrees. Not quite going to get there today. We'll top out right around 84. Mostly sunny skies, light winds out of the northeast, 5 to 10 miles per hour. So here's a look at your weather headlines as we head into the weekend. Today, we're going to be about 10 to 15 degrees above normal, and temperatures again going to cool off as we head into tomorrow. We have a cold front moving through tomorrow morning. That's going to drop those temperatures back down into the low 70s. Think about it, though. Still several degrees above normal. Our normal high for this time of the year is 68 degrees. So we are looking at a brief cool down and then a warm up once again as we head into Saturday with the warm and also breezy conditions that could elevate some fire concerns. We'll talk more about that coming up in your complete forecast in just a bit.
Keely, thanks. We turn now to other news today. The man who stabbed a Wheat Ridge police officer a dozen times 2 years ago was sentenced today to 35 years in prison. It was back in August that a jury found 31-year-old Andre Jones guilty of stabbing Officer Alan Fischer in the neck, chest, and back. This happened as Fischer was responding to reports of a U-Haul that had crashed into a fence. Fischer survived the attack but lost vision in one eye, can no longer be on patrol. He is still working with the police force, but now working in the records department.
It's been a pretty long process. and some of it has been very aggravating. But now, after the trial and the verdict, I felt a huge sense of relief. And now this, to some extent, was more of a formality for me, but now it's 100% closure, and I'm hoping me and my family can kind of move on now and, not be reminded of this any more than we already have been.
And Jones was also sentenced to an additional 3 years in prison for assaulting a deputy while he was in jail. He will serve both sentences consecutively. This afternoon, the Adams County Sheriff's Office is mourning the loss of one of their own. Deputy Joshua Tapia was out walking when he was hit by a car on Highway 52 Tuesday night in Fort Lupton. The driver did stop to help and called 911, but Tapia died at the hospital. He was off duty when he was hit. Tapia had worked for the Sheriff's Office for more than 25 years. The agency is now remembering him as a cherished husband, father, and friend. The city of Denver is talking about repurposing an old school building. The idea is to turn it into a short-term migrant shelter. The city pursuing a lease with DPS to use the Remington site on Pecos Street. That elementary school closed back in 2008. The city has closed all of its short-term sites and says there's no reason to believe the situation will change, but actually is preparing for another surge, just in case. And Aurora Public Schools is embracing use of artificial intelligence. The district says it's expanding its use of a program called Magic School with the idea of helping boost students' writing skills. As students type out sentences, this tool gives suggestions to try to improve their writing structure.
What we're trying to do is teach them safe, ethical, and responsible use with the AI tools, help them understand some of the risks that are associated with it, but ultimately they really appreciate the opportunity to interact and get smarter in real time.
A fifth grade teacher at Arkansas Elementary was the first to use Magic School during the last school year, and the district says his class saw a 28% improvement in students approaching or meeting grade level expectations when it came to standardized testing.